Can you hear that? It's raining this morning. It's early on a Sunday morning, and I just love the sound of the rain. Good morning, everybody. What a gorgeous day. Even though it's raining, there is so much that I can hear and see on this early morning before other people are up. It's one of my favorite times of the day. I want you to remember back to last week when we did the color poem. We used our 5 senses and we read that black book of colors that helped describe colors using our senses. Well, this week we are writing a similar poem, but we're going to write about something and just use our senses to describe it. So I thought it would be fun just to go outside, get you outside for a little bit, and just do practice observing with our senses. So today I'm out here on my little deck off of my bedroom. Let me just show you. All right, so my bedroom's in here, and then there's my little deck. And this is the little rocking chair that I love to come out and read a book and have my coffee sometimes in the morning. And then there's this little nice grassy area over here. All right. And then there's this glass wall here that just behind that is our bathroom, my tub, where I like to have my bubble baths. Okay, let's practice using our senses. Let's see what we can see, hear, taste, smell, and feel. So there's so many things to see right now. Look at these gorgeous green trees that have really come to life this spring. If I go over here, I can see these reddish purple maple trees and the beautiful mountains in the distance. The green grass, I love how the grass looks against the black rocks. Those rocks along the edge by the street. Those rocks are actually not black, but they've turned black because they're wet from the rain. Lots of things to see. And the empty streets because people haven't woken up yet, or at least haven't come out of their houses yet. Okay, let's see what we can hear. Definitely I'm hearing the rain, the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof. I don't know how much you'll be able to hear on the video, but I can hear it running down the drain pipes. In the distance, I can hear birds chirping. Oh, and a crow crowing. Now the smell, you hear people talk sometimes about it smells like rain. Well, that's what it smells like out here. Damp dirt I can smell. I was out here last night and I could smell somebody barbecuing some steaks. Now, taste is a difficult one because I'm not actually eating or drinking something right now, but being outside can make me taste things that I sometimes have outside. Like if I'm on a picnic, I can taste creamy potato salad, which I love, fried chicken. Right now I'm tasting toothpaste because I just brushed my teeth. All right, so we have done the seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touch. Right now I feel a little bit of coolness on my skin because it is a little bit cooler in the air. Oop, now I hear a car passing by. I also feel I'm leaning on the railing on my deck, and I feel the coolness of the metal on my fingertips too. Okay, so I want you to try going outside and just observe what you can through your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste, or what tastes are you reminded of? And what do you feel with your skin, your hands? All right, and then I will be right back, and we are going to write a senses poem about something else.
Okay, pause the video, go outside and use your senses to observe and write down what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you feel on your skin. When you're finished, then press play again on the video. Okay, I am going to take those things that I saw, heard, smelled, tasted, felt while I was out on my little deck and put it into a poem. But first, I'm going to show you another poem that I wrote using the 5 senses. Let's take a look at what a 5 senses poem is. It is a 6-lined poem about an object using metaphors and similes to describe the 5 senses. Okay, so if we remember back to last week's poem, the color poem, we talked about metaphors. And a metaphor is when we compare 2 things, but we actually say that one thing is the other thing. So an example from my color poem was, pink is rosy cheeks on a cold winter's day. Now, of course, pink is not rosy cheeks. Pink is a color, but it's a strong visual, so it helps create a picture in people's minds when I use metaphor. We've worked with similes as well, which is taking 2 things and comparing them using like or as. Okay, so he runs as fast as a cheetah, or the sun is as hot as an oven. Well, actually, it's much hotter, but you get the idea. Okay, so we're going to be using both metaphors and similes in this poem. So in the first line, we tell what it is. This is going to be a metaphor. So whatever the topic that we use in this poem, we're going to use a metaphor right off the top. We're going to think about, what does it taste like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What does it look like? And how does it make you feel? And actually, we're going to see when we write the poem that smell actually isn't in there, and instead we use 2 kinds of feel. Okay, so we have the feelings of touching things, so the sense of touch, but then we also have what we feel in our hearts or our emotions: happiness, sadness, excitement, anger. Okay, so we'll actually see that in this poem, and I'm not sure if that was a mistake or was done on purpose. Okay, so the example that's given here is they take something very different than the experience that you and I just had about going outside and using our senses. This is taking something else. So this person chose baseball. Baseball is red, white, and blue. Now you might be thinking, no, it's not. Red, white, and blue are the American colors, and baseball is a very popular sport in the United States. It's a little popular here too, but this was probably written by a student that lives in the United States. So they're kind of basically saying baseball is American. Baseball is red, white, and blue. It tastes like hot dogs and popcorn, because you can go to the concession stand and get hot dogs and popcorn at a baseball game. It sounds like fans cheering loudly. It smells like fresh cut grass because you're outside. It looks like a fly ball, and if you play baseball, you will know what that is. Baseball makes me feel like summer, because that's when we often are playing or watching baseball. Okay, so that is an example of a senses poem. I wrote one about my classroom, or our classroom. But at first, I just wrote down some words that came to mind, and then I'm going to show you how I changed it to make it sound more poetic, more descriptive. My classroom is a busy place. It tastes like lunch. First I had lunches, it didn't quite sound right. It sounds like kids talking. It looks like a mess sometimes. It smells like markers. It feels like a pencil in my hand. My classroom makes me feel happy. So these are all things that I sense when I'm in my classroom. But I wanted to change it and make it sound a little more interesting, a little more poetic. And this is what I came up with. My classroom is a bustling place of learning, and bustling just means like busy. It tastes like peanut butter sandwiches and chocolate chip cookies. So instead of just taking lunch, I was thinking about what might be in somebody's lunchbox. It sounds like chatting and giggling children. It looks like a busy beehive. So when I was thinking about the classroom, I was, picturing people moving all over and doing lots of different things, especially if we think about what our daily 5 looks like. It smells like dry erase markers, so I just got a little more specific than I did over here. It feels like pencils gliding across paper. That feeling of when you're writing. My classroom makes me feel empowered. And I chose this word empowered because I see learning as giving us power, right? When we know how to do things and we know about things, then we are going to know more what to do. We are going to be more successful, empowered. Okay, now I'm going to go back and show you the poem that I wrote about my experience out on the small deck. So what I did to write this poem is I thought about the things this morning that I was seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting when I was out on my deck earlier. And I used some of those things. And while I was writing, I changed some of those things as I thought about other things that I might sense when I'm on that deck. And this is the poem that I came up with. My little deck is a peaceful morning resting spot. It tastes like a second cup of coffee. It sounds like a choir of birds happily singing. It looks like the sun rising. It feels like the cool shade of a big tree. My little deck makes me feel happy to greet a new day. Okay, so you will notice some of the things that we talked about when I was out on the deck before. I did hear birds chirping. I did see trees, so I decided to put those into the coolness or into what it feels like. Okay. But I put in some other ideas. You can see the tasting like a second cup of coffee. When I do sit out there and read in the mornings, I often do have 2 cups of coffee. Okay, one of the things that is missing from here is the smell one. And so it is 6 lines because they did put, as I said earlier, it feels like, so something that we can feel with touch, and then also what it makes me feel in terms of emotions. Okay, if you really, really want to put smells, you could add a line here and just put an arrow. I would draw that arrow to here. It's good to keep the 2 feels together, so just draw the arrow as if we would insert that line here. Okay. The other thing you could do is you could write this on a different piece of paper and then glue it on here if you want to include that extra line. Then you'll have 7 lines instead of 6, but that's okay. So the big thing that I want you to notice is the metaphor. Okay, I'm saying that my deck is a morning resting spot. And then there's similes because we're using like to compare them. And I also want you to notice that I didn't just put one word. I added more description. I didn't just say, my little deck is nice, right? I didn't even just say it is a resting spot. I added some description. I didn't just say it tastes like coffee. I didn't just say it sounds like birds. Okay, you get the idea. I want you to really play with your words. when we're writing poetry, even though there's not a lot of writing to do, it might take us a little while if we're being really thoughtful with the words that we choose. I am going to take a picture of my deck actually to put here. I think I'll use a photograph. When you're finished your poem, you can draw your illustration here. And you can use the experience you had when you went outside and use your senses. So you might write, my yard, and then tell me about your yard. Or if you went to a park, the park. Or the park around the corner. Wherever you went, you can do, or you can take something completely different, like the student did with baseball, or like I did with the classroom. Your topic is up to you, but you're going to use your senses to describe it. I will be right back to show you the finished poem with my photograph. And here is my finished poem with the picture of my deck. I am really excited to find out what you choose to write for your Five Senses poem. Are you going to use the experience you had outside today, or are you going to choose a different topic? I look forward to reading what you write. See you soon.